first one. Yeah, it is imprints and life force. So Maharishi has given this word, imprints. It means what? What is the popular word used all over the world, time and again?
Karma.
Yeah, it is karma. And when it is karma, we don't follow the meaning easily. It has been described by various people in various ways. And though karma has been in vogue for centuries and centuries, more than thousands of years, it is in use. It is in the classical texts, but still it is not clear. I raised some questions for you people in the link it was given, isn't it?
Shall I read the questions here?
I think Ayya got dropped, so we wait for him to come back. So, in the meantime, please read the questions.
Yeah, the first question is, what are imprints? How are they formed and stored? Where are they stored? How long? How they come to action at the right moment?
You want to read the rest of the questions or just that one question?
Okay, I will read all the questions now. In the meantime, we'll see. Yes, Jenny. The second question is, imagine the volume and size of imprints. How instantaneously they spring into operation. The third question, how poor God manages to produce God and destroy his huge entire creation with 100% accuracy and perfection. How the imprints become the blueprint for his entire creation. How fixed fate and free will operate in harmony. So these are the questions Ayya gave. Ayya still not online. Would continue the answer from any of you. By the meantime, I will call and check.
Anyone wants to throw insight? Rajmohan Ayya, you want to, or Guru Ayya? I think Ayya is joining back, but his audio is not available.
Voice over there. The imprints are recorded in the magnetism. Voice over there.
Rabindranath, continue, please. Thank you.
Basically, it is recorded in the magnetism, biomagnetism, and it has stored in the genetic center. Not only in the genetic center, and the life force particles. So now we are recording the video, audio files in computers. There also it is recorded in the magnetism, and it is stored in the hard disk or chip. So similar to that, it is stored in the genetic center. Now we retrieve the information from the hard disk or chip, and similarly we are getting the recordings or blossom as a thought in the brain. So similar example. And our genetic center is called as a human computer by Vedatri Maharshi. So similar, when you understand the computers, how you record and how you retrieve, the same principle is applied at a very micro level in the genetic center. This is what my understanding. It is recorded.
Thank you so much, Ayya.
Thank you. Yeah. Can you also briefly say where these genetic centers are placed? Where are the karmayams? There are 5 different places, right? Maharishi keeps saying. Can you also elaborate?
Earlier you were telling in 5 places. Say in your sensual organs or in your fingers. When you type ASBF, it is stored in your fingertips. Then later on it goes to the brain. Then it is recorded in the life force particle. Then it is recorded in the genetic center. This is what earlier Maharishi used to say. Then later on, he has
Yeah, your voice is broken, Ayya. Rajmohan Ayya.
MVR Ayya also joined from
it is not
another.
recorded in the magnet. Okay. Only biomagnetism, and the it is a divine dust particles. So divine dust particles, and not only in our biomagnetism, it is also whatever you think, your thoughts are also as a wave. It comes to the universal magnetism. There is also it is recorded. So these are the 2 places. Finally, it is only basically magnetic theory, magnetism only. So wherever magnetism is there it is recorded. That's all now.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Rajmohan, thank you for holding the mic. Am I audible now?
Yes, yeah, we can able to hear you.
Group of divine dust particles becomes the life force particle. So it is recorded as the life force particle also. So there we put different 4 layers. Hello.
Rajmohan, shall I continue?
You can continue that.
Right. So, looking at the volume of imprints, how much you think the volume? Infinite, unimaginable. So many.
Infinite, actually.
Yeah, so many imprints. And still, how do they respond to the need in a given situation?
It is recorded in a particular frequency. When you come to the same frequency, it becomes a thought. So So frequency plays an important role.
So let me take over, Rajmohan.
Okay, doctor.
So it is instantly responding to your call. See, the moment you talk about the genetic center, the picture of the genetic center comes to you, springs to you. This thing, the entire field of the genetic center, the center and the periphery, the stationary center and the periphery, all those things. Let us see the slides. Second slide, Vijay Lakshmi. Here, the life force consists of absolute space, the energy particles or divine dust particles, and the life force particles, and the group of the life force particles put together the life force. Next slide. So, how the DDPs are formed, this all you know. I will go fast. They are formed by the compressive, self-compressive pressure force, which is everlasting, ever increasing, and when it crosses a threshold level, the absolute space, it crumbles the dust particles, and the fundamental particles or divine dust particles or Akash particles, and they form the DDPs. Okay, next slide. So, these are unlike our other formed in the space in creation. These imprints formed in the genetic center or by the magnetism, that is the biomagnetism. In a living being, right from in the causal body, there is one spinning system common to the entire body. And there it is the biomagnetic circulation. The field has the central point, which is stationary, the peripheral points, which are moving pretty fast. And all these things are explained in the slides. Hope you can follow it. And now let us move to the next slide. So these energy particles or divine dust particles, they group together. They form life force particles. A single life force particle has millions and millions of energy particles or divine dust particles. And they are forming cluster, just like a galaxy is forming. Similar to that, the life force particle has millions and millions of energy particles. So that is it. And next slide. Next, right. So in a single center, genetic center, how many genetic centers we have in the body, in the human body, by the by? Can Tarun, how many genetic centers are there?
There's one genetic center at the center of the body.
That is
for the entire body.
Causal body.
Causal body, yeah.
Is one.
That's
but
one.
How many other genetic centers are there?
Each cell has its own genetic center.
Each cell has its own genetic center, and in each atom, the proton, electron, neutron complex, it has its own genetic center.
Yeah.
And to stretch the imagination, the energy particle or divine dust particle, it is a spinning system. It also has its own genetic center. So the presence of genetic center and the natural corollary, that is the imprints, makes each divine dust particle a specific separate one. This divides the energy particles or the divine dust particles into various groups. And it is something like the human being in our society. Each one belongs to a specific caste system, group system, family system, the whatnot. Everything is dividing them, and you can pin down to each individual in a separate way. So in this way, each dust particle is a specific entity, and it is seen differently. So these groups, they unite to form life force particles, and they are of different characters. So they are, some life force particles will be oriented to the feet, some will be oriented to brain, some will be oriented to the heart, like that. Every part of the body has specific groups of specific types of life force particles, and they are recorded there. So this makes it possible to have hundreds of thousands of types that is needed for the construction of a body. So the imprints, what is the role of the imprints here? They are important to classify the cell and the life force particles into the different groups. So particular groups unite to form the particular part of the body. Okay, and now we will see the LFPs, life force particles. Life force particle is nothing but a group of divine dust particles or energy particles together, put together. They are in complex motion, groups, formation. The slower one is encircled by the faster one, and this group is encircled by a still faster one. Like that, you get the clusters of energy particles formed, and they are not free. They are attached to one another because of the magnetism that is working there. So we will see. Here the speed of the particles in the LFP, and the slide shows the pink color and the yellow color and the blue and the indigo. All four showing the fastest in the periphery, the medium in the middle, and the slow in between the medium and the absolute slow. You can imagine the four type of waves, beta, alpha, theta, delta. The particles are corresponding. So they, on their dissolution, brings out magnetism with specific frequency, wavelength, and speed. So these are the areas beautifully represented for those who may find it difficult to understand. it is all are moving and they are forming 4 zones. So these zones are important because the imprints which are formed by the magnetism has different frequencies, so they evolve into imprints of different nature. So that is the field of the LFP and the speed of the LFPs. Next slide. Next slide. Vijayalakshmi, can you change? Right. Here you see a weak and a strong life force particle. The weak has less attractive force towards the center, so more energy particles leave the system. And the strong, intense life force particle, it has the attractive power, more attractive power. So it absorbs more energy particles from the universal magnetism and retains into its hold. So the strong and weak life force particle has definite features and they produce different varieties of life force particles, the imprints in different categories. So this provides why I am explaining all these life force particles and energy particles. It is because they are important to understand how the imprints are formed and what is the nature. All those things are very much reflected on the basic structure and the function of the life force particle. At this juncture, this is very important for further understanding of the imprints formation. Any questions? Manisha, if you have any question at this level?
Namaste, sir.
Namaste.
Yeah, I wanted to ask one thing, like this particular scenario is basically representation of a particular moment where the life force particle is at a particular moment. I believe that there is a continuous movement of the particles from outer to inner. That is also happening because either they are gaining speed.
Outer to inner, both ways. Depending upon the environment in which the spinning system is working. The spinning system may be that of the energy particle or life force as such. So the area of operation expands and inclusive of everything. Okay. It is a continuous process. It keeps on changing.
Yes, sir.
It is not stable.
Yeah, so it's more or like this movement shows circular, but probably it is more elliptical, where the outer particles come closer to the genetic center and then they go back. So probably that
is, I have represented a circular field, but the individual life force particles or individual energy particles, they move in an elliptical orbit. And the solar system is circular, all put together. But the movement of the planets are elliptical depending upon the distance at which it is spinning. There is a uniformity of action in the entire creation, because they all follow the same physical laws. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Just one more statement. Maharishi talks of he makes one statement where he says that in a human body, the life force particles circulate, and then when they come near the genetic center, they take a dip in the sexual vital fluid, and their energies are, they are strengthened by the energy at the sexual vital fluid, and then they move up and circulate. So that makes sense when we visualize. Yeah. Thank you.
You are able to understand that?
Yes, I'm able to understand. Thank you.
That is great. That is great. It is more complicated, intricate, but still you have followed it, understood it, and that shows the skill of Maharishi with just explanation. His recordings, his writings, from that you are able to, from his speech, you are able to understand. That shows the great clarity of the master. Here, to understand the sexual vital fluid and the spinning system, relationship between the two, you have to understand the field of the spinning system here. So when you take the field of life force particles, the spinning system of life force particles, here even in the life force particle level, you have the 7 tadus, that is the juice, blood, muscle, fat, bone, marrow, and vital fluid. The Shukra Tadu, Shukla. So all these things are present everywhere. These are the building blocks. The buildings may be of different types in the earth, but they are all constructed with the same bricks and mortar and the same constituents, components, creating different type of buildings. Similarly, here in the formation of the spinning systems, the basic contribution by the absolute space, the compressive force, self-compressive force, and the spin of the dust particles or life force particle or the life force, all the same, and they form different ones. Okay? And in this field, if you see the 7 tadus, suppose you imagine the 7 tadus are circulating in this field shown here in the life force particle field. Similar to the different colors, the 7 tadus will be in the form of layers, one over the other, in the field of the life force particles. There, the Sukratadu or the sexual vital fluid will be occupying the central portion, that is around the core of the genetic center, around the center of the genetic center. So here the concentration of the vital fluid is more than in the periphery. So this increased concentration of the vital fluid makes it more dense, and it is a high specific gravity. So the speed is less and the interparticular distance is least, and it is difficult. They are closely packed, and so an incoming wave towards the genetic center will have a lot of difficulty in penetrating through this, the delta zone of the spinning system. So here, as they travel along the life force particles, when they travel here, they will easily get coated with the field in which it is there. The field is formed by the Sabdatadus. So, when it is closer to the genetic center, the speed is least, almost nearer the center. It is these stationary waves that are operating. Stationary waves, by stationary waves I mean that if you consider that it is, if the observer considers that it is in motion, then there is movement. If he considers there is no motion, it is stationary, then it remains stationary. So this is exactly the observation made by observing the electron, the single group of life force particles as they travel in the spinning magnetic field. So, if the observer thinks the electron that is projected in the experiment, if the observer feels that they are particles and they move in straight line, it behaves like that. If the observer thinks that it is only a wave and not a particle, then the experiment gives the results for the wave character of this thing. So this shows this experiment, which is popular, known to all inside basic scientific field, physical physics. It is a particle or a wave depending upon the observer and not on the actual nature of the particle or this thing. The character of the electron changes because of the observer there, because it is all absolute space, magnetism, frequency, wavelength, and the speed of it. All those things contribute to it. So I suppose I have made it clear. Is it okay, Professor Guru? Professor Guru?
வாழ்வோடு முடங்கியா சரிங்கய்யா சரியா
right. With approval from Senior Professor Guru, I get strength to proceed. Thank you. And now you see the nature of the biomagnetic field. It is of various speeds corresponding to the beta, alpha, theta, delta, and the waves are with various frequencies and speeds and the strength of the waves. So, how these imprints are formed? Can anyone tell how the imprints are formed? Ananda Kumar, Dhanasekaran.
ஐயா வாழ்க வளமுடன். Sir, Ayya, the imprints have a direct relation with whatever we are inheriting from our parents and forefathers. So the imprints are formed for many generations, and also during the life we form new imprints based upon our behavior, our thought pattern, and our habits. Both ways the imprints can form, sir.
Yes, it is just like a photographic system where on exposure, on the film, you get an image is formed on the film. Similarly, here the film is formed by biomagnetism and the image is formed by the exposure. For example, eye. The eye takes a Xerox copy of what it sees and it is formed in the biomagnetism there. So the biomagnetism, part of it is converted into the photographic film, similar to what is being formed in the eye. And
Ayya seems got muted again.
Right, okay. Now it is, see, it is similar to the photo film. And the film, whatever is exposed on it, similarly formed by biomagnetism. And the inner layer of the biomagnetism takes the image of the vision, the exposure to which the eyes are recording. So this biomagnetic wave, having taken the image, is not remaining there. It moves in circulation. The biomagnetic circulation. When it reaches the center of the
It's again muted again.
able to hear?
Yes, now we can able to hear again.
I got muted automatically. Now you just, this is the second time you are telling, you keep telling when I'm just saying.
No problem, yeah.
I am traveling in a car, so you are able to hear the bhajan also. Okay. We have Thaipusam coming and there is melas going on, right? So this structure there makes it congenial for the Xerox image taken at the sensory organ level to shrink, get compressed, and when it is getting compressed, folded and crushed to smallest size of a dot, the Xerox and the parent biomagnetic wave both separate, and at such a small dimension, both cannot remain together, attached to each other. So the image that has been formed by the sense organs, exposure at the sense organ level, they become crushed, compressed, folded, spin, knotted, and this becomes the divine magnetic knot. and it falls there, where it gets separated from the parent biomagnetic wave. It is almost at the interface of the spinning system, the genetic center. And the special features of the interface is there is no movement, much of movement. It is almost between 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 and -1, like that order. So it gets separated, and the field is also stationary, and whatever the image that is crushed to a dot size is formed. It becomes the imprint, and that is dropped in the least area with least movement. That is the interface. By interface, I mean in the center of the genetic center, there is zero velocity, zero movement. At the periphery, it is from 0, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, the delta area. So it is almost that stationary. So now let us look into the imprints in detail. The imprints are formed by the biomagnetic waves. Part of the biomagnetic wave is utilized to freeze a picture on exposure. And this picture is clinging to the biomagnetic wave. And the material with which this image is formed is nothing but the absolute space surcharged with magnetism, additional energy. And this is getting compressed, folded, spinned, made to form a knot. And this knot has the connectivity to the biomagnetism, and it has the frequency, wavelength, and speed, all the characteristics of the biomagnetic wave, and they are specific. Not only that, it is supplemented by the imprints. So the imprints are specific. They have formed the imprints, which are nothing but the folded images. They have specific frequency, wavelength, and speed, spinning speed, all the characteristics which are mentioned and not mentioned, which is left to you for imagination. It is all working there. And since it is basically formed by the raw material of absolute space, it has the divineness, it has the almighty force, and it has the order of function, the consciousness there. So the imprints are very much alive, and they are suspended in an area where there is least motion. So it is a stationary wave there. It is left there, and it is remaining there for time immemorial. So it is this thing. What happens when it gets, when it is coming to consciousness? At that stage, whatever biomagnetic wave that erupts, that comes out of the genetic center, when an outcoming biomagnetic wave has a matching frequency, wavelength, speed, nature of the imprint resonates with the eruptive outcoming wave. And so this resonance vibration attaches the imprint to the outcoming erupting wave of the genetic center. So when it passes from the genetic center to the periphery, there is a reduction in the density of the field, and there is a gain of the speed of the erupting biomagnetic wave when the imprint, which is nothing but a folded, spun and compressed dot nature of the image. Now, because of the nature of the expanding wave, it opens up and it spreads. When it comes to the region of the brain, it is taken up by the brain cells, analyzed, and the message conveyed, recorded in the image comes back to memory. The individual becomes aware of that. And this is the nature how the imprint springs to action. And even this recollection of the nature of the imprint is also recorded. So, in a given micromillimeter of the field of the spinning system, you get the entire history of the world recorded, universe recorded there. So, this is the complex nature, and this is possible only by a divine nature. The magnetism, which is divine, which is nothing but absolute space, plus the energy of the spinning dust particle or life force particle or life force put together. So there is a continuity of the absolute space, which is uncontaminated, pure absolute space, and the area of operation which we are talking about, that is in continuity. So it contains all the features of absolute space. It has the unity force, it has the consciousness, the order of function, and all these things put together gives the special powers to the imprints, and the imprints rule the entire universe, world. Have I explained it in detail so that you all understand? Dear audience, you can just tell me, Ashwin Shah.
Namaste, sir.
How the imprints are. Namaste, namaste.
Yeah.
So I have explained the nature of the imprints, the potency of the imprints, the span of the imprints, how long they can act, how they are stored in the genetic center. All those things are totally not perceptible. So only our mental imagination had to tell that.
I was just going to add to what you were just saying. One thing I feel that these imprints are very close to the absolute space. And when the external environment or the force is conducive, then it invokes all these imprints, So like it resonates with it. And then the imprints becomes very vivid. The second thing that I think is that in order to understand what you just explained, is that
yes,
that one has to be not just the observer, but the observed and observation. everything. So if you are in a very deep meditative state and you try to understand this, it becomes much more clearer what you explained. That's what I feel. Because when we are just talking and observing or listening, then we are still away from the true nature of the consciousness to understand this.
Yes.
So for example, if I'm listening to you, then I have to bring myself to a meditative state and listen to you. Then it becomes a lot more clearer to me. That's what my opinion is, or comment, whatever you say.
So you have understood my difficulty. I'm just asking you to evaluate my talk. Does it take you to a meditative state?
Yes. I myself forced myself to get into that while you were talking. The other thing is, if we could add to which you did indirectly in some ways, that when a person is not alive, the genetic center leaves the body, what happens to the imprints and how those imprints are brought back, that would have added to your talk. But you did indirectly cover that part,
Yes.
So to me, it's very, very good.
So this is only half of the story. Now I have the difficult job of explaining how the imprints form the blueprint for the body architecture, and how a single imprint, though it is insignificant as such, is very much responsible for the architecture of the human body or any other living being. Before I proceed with that, I just want to confirm that I have made myself clear.
I think so. It's very pretty much clear to me.
Right. Thank you.
Sir, I have a question here.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So when we say that the imprints, basically they are the closest to the genetic center, and genetic center is nothing but the divinity in our cells, which is most prominent. So genetic center has the absolute space in most prominence, and the imprints are closest to that. And the fact that they are not being absorbed by the genetic center means that they are really having a lot of energy for them to remain at the interface and not be sucked in by the center of the center. So is it possible, just a thought, that the genetic center, which has the consciousness, which is functioning with the order of functionality with pattern, precision, and regularity. So regularity would mean time. So when the time comes in, kicks in, the imprint itself is kicked out and cause for the dust particles to move out of the system and eventually create a biomagnetic wave. Like right till now, we have envisioned that how the biomagnetic wave comes in and takes the imprint from the genetic center up to the senses and brain, and we have an experience of a particular imprint. But is it possible the other way, that the imprints are the cause for the biomagnetism to kick in and have that experience for us? Because they are very close. They are the closest to the divinity, even.
Yes.
Even. Yeah.
See, the imprints are not formed by essentially the absolute space with the surcharge of energy from the spinning particles, whether it is divine dust particle or life force particle or the life force, all anything. They all behave in the same way. Say they all put together give this nature. And where the imprints are suspended, it is in a space closest to the genetic center, but well away from the center of the genetic center. So it is not totally becoming zero into the black hole to become absolute space. It retains it, and the knot formation, the folds, spin, compression, making it a tight knot, helps the imprints to retain their shape and message. They're intact. So this is essential and wanted. Okay, so this makes the unimaginable thing to take place in the genetic center of everyone.
Doctor, can I add one more thing? If you
please.
Okay. So one other thing that I wanted to add to this, that these imprints also get neutralized based on the karmas that we have, and it unloads those imprints from that genetic center also.
Yes, very much. So, you are right, and your point is significant. It is appreciated. If the impulses go on accumulating, then what will happen? They will there won't be any emptying of the genetic center. Maharishi talks about purification of the genetic center. All
correct,
those details are there. So
you're right.
What happens to the imprints that is taking place? They get suspended. They are protected without losing the information which was recorded in the Xerox copy of the experience. At the same time, it has to be alive functionally and come back to reality, to consciousness when it is required. So this is performed by the frequency, wavelength, speed, and the density of the area, everything put together. They all act simultaneously. The Sukshma Sarira acts there, causal Sarira also acts there, and Stula Sarira is also there. All put together, one in the other. So when they are acting put together, all these activities are taking place simultaneously, not independently. They are independent, at the same time they are very much separate, individualistic also. So that
also
makes it, yes.
Doctor, also as I understand, as these imprints are neutralized based on the karmas or the actions, it basically turns into absolute space, but it also adds the divinity to that genetic center. So the more and more your imprints are neutralized, the more and more your genetic center is becoming rich in the divinity. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, we are in identical lines. We are Xerox copies. Hope you appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. Shankar Natarasan.
Ayya, வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
வாழ்க வளமுடன். What do you understand, sir?
Excellent explanation, Ayya, and thanks to Ashwinji as well. Ayya, if I understand correctly, our worldly activities are stored in the outer periphery, and then if we go into a spiritual or meditative state, our imprints are going a little deeper, close to the genetic center. Is that my understanding is correct?
It is right, but this process is not selective. It is common. It acts on a common man as well as the spiritual man. In every person, this process is taking place. In an ordinary person, you are totally not aware of what is going on in. In a spiritual man, with orientation for inner vision, you are able to visualize all these things. That's all.
Thank you, Ayya.
All right. Anyone else with any question? I'll be happy to hear something from Bharat Shah.
Yes, sir. 7 kilometers.
Welcome. Hello. Bharat Shah?
Yes, I understand. I'm listening to this and it's making more and more clear to me in a technical way. So it's good. I understand that.
And now, let me hurry up to the vital part of the talk. Vijay Lakshmi, shall we go to the slides? Vijay Lakshmi, are you available?
Yes, Ayya. Yes, Ayya. The screen is in next.
Share the screen.
Yeah, it's in the sharing of next screen, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question before we get into the slide.
Please.
The previous slide, once the life force particles is completely weak on the other, on one side. So as with the age grows, absolutely the life force will get weak. So is there a possibility to get into the intense because of more divine dust particles can able to occur through meditation during aging in the old age also? Is it possible to get into more intense at that
The role
state?
of meditation, I will explain the subsequent slides.
Okay.
So that will automatically answer your question. You just go to the slideshow.
Yeah, we are in next slide, Mia. What is life force? Do we want to go to next slide?
Yes.
Okay.
So what is life force?
Now, formation of magnetism in life force.
Right. How the magnetism is formed from the life force. The magnetism has all the characteristics, individualistic and collectively also they act. They are the true expression of divinity. So what is not possible for us to understand, the magnetism is able to do because of the nature of the magnetism. It takes almost all forms possible, and that makes it the vital for the functioning of the imprints. It is the imprints that is taking the activities of the universe every hour by hour, second by second. So it depends on the nature of the imprints. And the imprints have, I want you to remember, they have specific frequency, wavelength, and speed, spin, and the field in which they are suspended. All these things are very much important to attribute a character to the imprints. And here I am explaining the slide the functioning, the formation of the magnetism by the life force. It is very reflection of the imprints that which makes the composite expression of this thing. The next slide. Vijay Lakshmi, next slide.
Yeah, we are in next slide. Yeah, distribution of life force particles in human.
Read it out.
The first point, fastest LFP connect to the periphery of the body, where sense organs
shown in the concentric circles. This is shown in the concentric circles. The one with a red frequency are touching almost the sense organs are in the periphery, and the concentric circles right from the red outside to the indigo inside, the violet inside. It is concentric circles. So they form the different layers of the imprints formation. Next, read point 2.
Second point, medium life force particles move within the body but not in contact with the GK, the Jnana Karmendriyas. This portion constitutes the mind.
See, the various portions of the field of biomagnetism. Once when it touches with higher frequency, the sense organs and the motor organs, the Jnana Karma Indriyas, then they are in the conscious field. And once the frequency comes down to that of the getting detached from the Jnana Karmendriyas, then you have the biomagnetism acting without connection to the sense organs. That is the mind activity. What you get, that dream state and all. Without impulse, you see, you recollect what your experiences. That is the mind level. And the third point.
Vijnanamaya is in between the mind and bliss zone.
So this is in between the delta state and the alpha level. That is the beta state, the theta state, where you get all the deeper, meaningful portion of the biomagnetic field or universal magnetic field. There you get in the delta, the theta rhythm, you get the universal secrets are exposed, the Vijnanamayam. the Vijnanamayam is represented there. And the imprints in the Vijnanamaya, then they are understood, it becomes inventions. Alright, next point.
The slowest group is almost touching the center of genetic center constitutes the bliss zone.
So here the individual waves are no more this thing. What I said, stationary waves is the area in which imprint is able to exert its influence on the perception. And there is the wavelength and the amplitude and the speed are coming to, there is nothing. Just like the body going to a state of total mounam, this magnetic field in this area, in the delta zone, are almost becoming zero. And this is the Suryatita meditation you have in a given space. That is the equivalent there. So it is possible. The imprints are responsible for our conscious state, dream state, or enlightened state, or total bliss. The becoming identical with the totality. So all these things are possible because of the nature of the imprints and the function of the imprints. You cannot have an individual imprint coming into action when you are in delta wave. When you are in a stationary wave point. So that is the changing nature of the imprints and the ability to express. Only when you come out to the alpha zone or beta zone, you will be able to visualize them. Okay? So this slide explains the 4 states of consciousness. Jagratam, Swapnam, and Turiyam, and Sushumna and Tiriyam, and the Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, all those things. The Panchagoshas are explained in this way with respect to imprints. Okay, next slide.
Light force particle circulation.
Yes. So here it is the computer graphics. They are explaining us how to imagine the biomagnetic field in various capacities. The previous picture and this picture they show. And if you tap, the animation will work where the field will spin. I don't know whether we are lucky to get it.
Not this one.
Right. So this is the life force particles of various nature. In the first one is the emotional state, is it? Just read, I'm not able to read it. They are too small.
A common man, first life force particle spinning is for common man.
The second one?
A beginner in yoga practice.
Yes. As we have been in the initial years of our practice. Next.
The third one is consistent yoga practitioner.
So when you practice continuously, go and introspect, do research on the various revelations which you get in different levels. The last one is the realized soul, isn't it?
Yes, Sonia. Yogi.
So the yogi,
10%.
what happens in the yogi? What is the difference between the first picture and the fourth picture? The first
there is no imprints at all.
Red. It is all red. They are all of the same size, but the redness has been replaced by the other colors. The blue indigo, black, all put together, they are a single digit representation, 3 to 5% of the totality there. Whereas in the yogic level, in the fourth point, you see the darkness, black representation becoming so big, major. And if it is made to expand still further, it can touch to the field. It can eliminate the blue there. It may eliminate the indigo there, and you will get total blackness. When you get the entire thing represented by the darkness, it becomes a state where the genetic center has been totally absorbed by the totality. The black hole taking over. So this is the nature of this thing. So a person with a level of expression to the state, you will be able to understand. Now go to the next slide. Vijay Lakshmi, next slide.
Yes, it's coming into the observer. Some text is coming. Observer does not impact observation. Observer does not exist. Yes. The yogi's level.
So project the next slide. It is not moving in my screen.
Imprints. The next one is
read please.
Yes. In living beings, all the experiences are through the 5 sense organs: skin, ear, eye, tongue, and nose. These experiences are recorded in the biomagnetic wave as a Xerox with the characteristics of specific vibrations, frequencies, and wavelengths. The biomagnetic wave has taken the Xerox copies of the experiences and they proceed in their circulation in the body towards the genetic center. The density of the field of biomagnetism progressively increases as it approaches the center.
Yes. So next one.
This leads to compression of the biomagnetic wave and its shrinkage almost to a dot. The shrinkage of the biomagnetic wave also compresses its Xerox copy, leading to multiple folds and formation of magnetic knots. Next point. Ultimately, they also become folded and crushed, and the compressed images get separated from the parent biomagnetic wave. Fourth one, this separation takes place in the region of the interface of the genetic center.
This is just repetition of what we have discussed so far. Next.
Life force particle is also spinning system with the genetic center, growth, maturity, its dissolution, and respective characteristics in each state. Next point, nature of the life force particle. Next point, role played by the life force particle in a life force, a blueprint for the whole body.
So these imprints, because of their nature and the strength of the strength and the effect on the magnetic field. Yeah. So they shape the biomagnetic field in such a way that there are differences in the manifestation of the blueprint in the body, whole body. That is the nature of the LFP and the role played by the LFP in the life force. How they occupy different parts of the body system. Like the feet, they are made only to carry the weight all the time throughout the lifespan. Whereas the tongue is made to taste and identify the flavor, enjoy it all the time. So this is because of the different layers of distribution of the imprints in this thing and their impact on the biomagnetic field. So the sense organs behave in that way because of the imprints which form the portion of the sense organ, whether it is eye or ear or tongue or the skin, pressure, all those things. All right. Next.
Types of life force particles. Types of life force particles, divine and mundane, strength and weakness, multivarious functions in existence, genetic center of a life force particle, role in building up living being and its life.
Okay, they are self-explanatory, I suppose, at this level of the session. Next one.
Experiences of the living beings. The role of these experiences in the biomagnetic wave, its specific vibrations, frequencies and wavelengths, photographic images by the biomagnetic waves, compression of the images as the biomagnetic waves travels across to the genetic center, Xerox images shrink to a dot point. At this stage, separation of the biomagnetic wave and its Xerox images forming knots separate from the mother wave and are left in the genetic center as imprints.
Yes. If anyone is having any doubt, you can stop me and question. I'll be happy to answer. Next.
Genesis or formation. Imprints are in the biomagnetic wave. First point. The second point, the biomagnetic waves are nothing but the absolute space resurcharged with a mighty unified force, the surrounding self-compressive pressure force. Third point, the Xerox sensory images are formed by the absolute space itself with the biomagnetism.
Okay, that is the strength of the imprint. It is remaining as such without deformation or change or dissolution in that particular place in the genetic center forever, for time immemorial. Yes. Next.
Almighty force and the consciousness with its perfect order of function has formed the Xerox image. Next point, the images are formed with the inexhaustible continuous supply of energy. Next point, the live images gets compressed to form an imprint and are left in the interface of the genetic center. The fourth point, it is located in the changeless absolute space with liveliness stored for an infinite period of time.
See here, each point has profound meaning. That is, the imprints are retain their characteristics for time immemorial because the energy of the absolute space with which these imprints have been created there is continuous supply of energy. It is not stopping after the imprint formation. It is not free from the absolute space. It is in continuity. So they are very much alive. So they retain their qualities. And their qualities are represented by the frequency, vibration, wavelength, and the spin, and the nature of the field all put together. And the live images, though they are compressed to form unidentifiable as dots, they are dormant form of the live experience. And the dormancy helps them to be as such for centuries and centuries. And the last one, it is located in the changeless pressure and changeless field. They are stationary waves, so they remain there all the time. So no wonder that the imprints are living for such a long time in us. Next.
Storage at the interface. Each biomagnetic field is a spinning system. It consists of a stationary central axis formed by the absolute space and the fastest periphery. The spin has a velocity, specific density of the field with a given number of energy particles, defined as particles. The number of particles show a gradient from the genetic center to a periphery. The nature of the spinning system is congenial to the formation and functioning of the imprints. Since the imprints are stored in relatively a dynamic area, so that it is protected from distortions and favors its preservation, storage.
Okay. So this picture shows how the magnetism acts. All individual iron balls are held together without any cementing or uniting particles. They all are, when the hand is lifted with the magnet in the palm, the entire iron balls, not even a single one is left behind. But when the magnet is taken off, they all separate to individual forms. See, this explains well how the information, imprints put together give meaning to this thing. Okay. Now I have come to the venue of the function to which I am going. It is a Guru Puja of a ashram there. So let me excuse, I request Tarun to sum up and carry on. Thank you, Walter Valamudan.
Thank you, Naya. Walter Valamudan.
Em ledama nataleninka. Vijay Lakshmi, you can conclude.
Let us conclude with the word blessings. May the world be blessed with plenty of rain. The farmers work to produce an abundance of grain. Let practitioners of all prosper, flourish and grow, and culture progress through the need to share and grow. Let the rulers be beyond feelings of anger or fear, illiteracy, poverty, and all evils made to disappear. Let the true lamp of knowledge burn steady and bright. Our sense of duty guide us along paths always right. உலகமெல்லாம் பருவமழை ஒத்தபடி பெய்யட்டும், உழவரெல்லாம் தானியத்தை ஒப்புடனே பெருக்கட்டும், பல தொழில்கள் புரிகின்ற பாட்டாளி உயரட்டும், பகுத்துணர்வில் தொகுத்துணர்வு பண்பாட்டை உயர்த்தட்டும், கலகங்கள் போட்டி பகை கடந்தாட்சி நடக்கட்டும், கல்லாமை கடன் வறுமை களங்கங்கள் மறையட்டும், நலவாழ்வை அளிக்கும் மெய்ஞான ஒளி வீசட்டும், நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும், நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும், நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும். வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வளம்.